As you may know, this channel started to rise during the summer of 2022, and that reason was because I did multiple videos showing off unreleased props. And just recently, I've discovered deleted islands within UEFN, and today, I want to see what is still left of unreleased props 2 years later. Alright, so here is the unreleased prop map I'm going to be checking out in today's video now, which is a pretty weird thing that occurred to me recently, is that if you would go into Fortnite Creative 1.0 and delete an island, you could actually go back into it using UEFN, because that's what I did to get into this island, because I know I deleted these islands a couple years ago, because these are islands that were made in 2022 and also deleted in 2022, because I had no reason to continue the prop kind of expansion thing, because, well, I started really not caring about them. I only did it for videos because that's how I started my YouTube grind. And it's pretty cool to go back and see what is still left. Obviously, you cannot start the game because most of these are considered blacklisted from like the Fortnite verification system thing. So the only thing we can really do with these in UEFN is look at them. Now, you probably can get some in the game, but most of them you can't, because a lot of these are Save the World props. That's actually the funny thing too, is that these are actually Save the World props. These aren't meshes. There's no meshes in this island. Like, there's no explosion devices or anything like that. These are actual props that people obtained from the modes that. So let's just look and see what we have, because there is a lot of stuff that I used to collect. And the funny thing about this is that I actually used to go back and get these myself, but after that I started getting it from other people. But it's still funny though how, like, because I used to love glitching Fortnite Creative, and the fact that like it kind of turned into like a hobby of mine, which is actually pretty cool and pretty sick. Because I used to like glitch Fortnite Creative when it first came out. I used to like go into other people's islands and have phone permissions without like them giving it to me. Alright, so let's look and see what we have. So I'm gonna get out of the immersive mode to see what the details are. But look at this. So we can actually now look and see like what kind of properties do these props have. You can also probably look like at like the materials and stuff like that. Look at this material. So that's actually the pretty cool thing about this, that we can just take the materials from that and just paste it. We should be able to paste it. There we go, look at that. So we can just take materials from other things and paste it onto props. Now, I'm not sure if this will validate in another project, but I wouldn't test it because it's going to be a waste of time. And also, I don't know if I realized this, but we actually do have some of the props that we didn't have back then, because most like all of these props that I collected back in like the summer of 2022, we do not have. And we actually got some of these props recently, like over a year ago, like this one, the mushrooms and stuff like that. Which is funny too, is that this is actually the prop that spawned the baller back in Chapter 3, Season 3, if I'm not mistaken. So I still remember when I got this prop right here, the library kid underscore 02 underscore C0. I actually like this because every time you would copy it and paste it, let's do that, it would spawn a different color ball. It just matters on the position it's in. So if I keep moving up and down, what if I resize it? No, so it's only when you move it in a certain direction, it will change its color. Now that was actually pretty sick, and I'm not sure, there's no properties on it, which is kind of weird, but it's still pretty sick how that was a thing. And I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the material. Let's attach that to this square that we have. Let's see, we're just going to be testing a little bit of this stuff, so let's move it. Wow, look at that. So it's actually the material that the balls kind of have. Wow, look at that. So it's just, I wonder how they do stuff like that, but that was actually pretty sick. And I don't think we can, no, so we can't edit any of the materials because, well, like at that time, like it's Fortnite materials, and like they kind of locked that. And look at all the stuff that we had inside the world that we got in Fortnite Creative 1.0 at that time. Look at this kind of AC machine right here. It actually blows out air, and actually looks pretty cool. It kind of has like that sparklish, kind of cold, freezing air, which I think is pretty sick. Now, obviously, you can probably import these props into UEFN without having to worry about like the blacklisted and validation, stuff like that. But there is some props that we do have on this map that like you can't get in F model because, well, because F model is the place where you can export models from Fortnite into your game without having to worry about, once again, the like validation and verification, stuff like that. But they don't have everything that we have in this map. There's even like rotating, yeah, I forgot. See, at this time I really didn't know anything about materials. If anything, I didn't know anything about like Unreal Engine or UEFN, because, well, at that time we didn't have UEFN, but I really didn't know anything about Unreal Engine, and I just forgot about like how the stuff was moving, like what's coming out of it. And now I know it's like Niagara, it's the material rotation and stuff like that. So it looks like we do have a pretty decent collection of props at this time. I didn't kill myself to get the props in my map. I just did a quick video on them. Obviously you cannot see those videos because they are privated, because, well, that's kind of not the really content I focus on. So I don't want people commenting, you know, can I get that, can I get this? And no, you cannot get these props in this map, because once again I did delete them, and there's no way for me to reinstate it into Fortnite Creative 1.0 if I ever do. I'll let you know. But look at this. So this is actually one of the devices from Save the World, and if you actually go in game in Fortnite Creative and pickaxe it, I think it kind of has like an effect, or when you copy and paste it, it will kind of have like an exploding thing, and it will explode. That was actually a pretty cool thing. We also have another Save the World thing. Look at everything, like everything is just so crazy. One thing I just noticed too in this map is that, look at this. So this is where every single like matchmaking portal would be. It would kind of have like a logo, would have an image, and it looks like they removed almost every single one of them. And I think that's because of like the kind of like copyright issues that they used to have. They kind of took it up a notch in the moderation system of like maps back then. I'm not sure when they removed them, but they definitely just did it maybe a year or two ago because, well, I mean, we just got UEFN over a year ago, so maybe that's when they did it because of like how many maps they would get published and stuff like that. And chapter 3 is that there was actually a chest in chapter 3 where it would only spawn the legendary chest, and here it is right here, so I can kind of resize it. And every time you would copy and paste it, it would always be the legendary chest, which I thought was pretty crazy. And I'm not sure if it will validate through the verification thing, but it should because, well, it was in chapter 3, and I don't see why it wouldn't. But if it doesn't, then, well, it's kind of a L for the only rare chest every time you spawn them. So here's more chests from, I think, chapter 3. We have the vault, which would give you gold. You have the cooler, which I think we do have now. This is one of the chests from like chapter 2. This is one of the IO chests. I don't think these spawn. And then you have the Save the World chest right here, which I think is pretty sick. We have more containers right there. What is this? Candles. There's like a whole stack of, I think these like walls that had like things on them. It looks like they removed those because it used to have like a lot of kind of graffiti on the walls, but I guess, like I said, I guess they removed those. There isn't really anything other than what we have now. Like there isn't no more crazy props. Everything is just kind of basic. This is like, I think this is the actually the Dragon Ball house right there. We could probably just recreate that using, you know, once again, F model and stuff like that. But I think it was a pretty huge collection of props that I used to have, especially now. Like you can go and look at like what the developers are seeing at this time, like with the properties and stuff like that. I also had a lot of stuff from like the temple from Indiana Jones, like all like his walls and stuff. It was actually funny too about this map is that there's still a lot of prefabs and galleries that is kind of like within the locations of chapter 3, and they're still here to this day, which I think is pretty sick. Because you'd think that after like the chapters go away, all of the walls would kind of just disappear like they do most of the time, but I guess they just decided to keep most of the stuff from chapter 3 in the files. And this is actually some stuff from chapter 2, I think. This is from chapter 1 season 5. Obviously we didn't get it at that time, but there's still stuff from the imposters mode. I don't know, I think it's just so crazy though how there's so much stuff still in this map to this day. Let's look at the vehicles too. Now obviously you can go and import any vehicle nowadays, but it's still pretty sick though, just the fact that we had so much good stuff back then. But obviously we did have to like be careful on what we placed on our maps, because Fortnite would check them and realize maybe you have unreleased props and they would not let you publish it or even ban you or whatever they want to do.